What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the channel dedicated to La Vecchia Signora. That's the AJC. It is match day. It's Aston Villa. It's Juventus today in a big Champions League clash. And who do we have here? What's going on over here?
Forza, forza, forza!
What's happening, Paulo? Let us know what's going on here with Ultra. We got Ultra Paulo today.
In 1983, Juventus went to Aston Villa Park, and the 40-something thousand people from Birmingham showed up at the park, and they were looking to see the great Juventus, the team from across the water that they'd only heard about. They heard about the mythology. They had seen clippings in the newspaper. They had read articles. They knew the champions were coming to town. Platini, Zoff, Rossi, and they were so excited. And they went to that park and they were loud, and they were also feared. They were fearing the stripes. They were fearing Juventus. And so that's what I want Motta and the boys to bring today, is that fear. Bring the Juventus to Aston Villa, the tradition of the stripes, the bianconeri, and fight for 3 points, fight for the shirt, fight for the colors, and come out with 3 points and a big win.
Let's go. Let's go. Bring the fight. Bring a little bit of fear. And maybe there is a little fear because, for whatever reason, they had to slow us down at the airport, all right? Little Timothy way out with his passports and everything. So, yeah. Brought the French passport, not the American passport. Maybe that has something to do with it. Either way, they got through. The lads got through. We got a lot in the news to tackle. And then, of course, we're going to get to all the storylines around this game. And the starting lineup was being speculated quite a bit as to what route Motta was going to do. One thing's for sure. You guys see it in the header to this show. The pressure, the heat, it's on. It's on. And Motta, he's going to have to nail it pretty much from the outset today, all right? We do also have Omer should be here with us as well today. Let's go. And there's Omer right there. All right. How are you doing, brother?
I'm phenomenal.
Whoa.
Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I had a huge inspection at work today, the biggest one I have, and I finished it with flying colors, as you say. So now only Juve can ruin my day, which is every
Hopefully that's
normal
not the
day.
case. Hopefully that's not the case. We're
I'm a
going to get
Juve
into
fan
it all.
because that's not the case usually.
We do have some news. We have some headlines. We will go over. Of course, we got to say what's up to everybody in the chat here too. Forza Juve coming in here. Ciao, ciao. Oh, Wing of Winter. I feel worry with the injuries that we have. Well, let's see what happens. Pino said, ciao ragazzi, amo, Forza Juventus. No excuses. All Grinta. Love it. Love it. Ciao to Kashik here. Christy Billy coming in here. Forza Juve. Tuna steaks. Here we land in Birmingham without the proper documentation. Yeah. Nice little hold up there. Always something going on. Always something going on. But yes, we're all happy to have Omer here and Paolo with the great little intro showing up as Ultra. Paolo getting us fired up, saying we need that feared Juve. Listen, little bit of a different side in Champions League, I'd say, with Motta's Juve, just because of how the games tend to play over in Europe. We had our friend Skanga say earlier on in the season that, you know what, Europe might play better to our hand and what Motta's trying to do in terms of his football. Today, we'll have a very, very good test. I know that Aston Villa, as of late, leads some Juventini to believe that this might not be as bad or as things seem with the way the odds are stacked against us, but we will get into all of it, all right? First off, we do have news headlines we do have to look at and whatnot. Obviously, there's been a total contradiction with Skriniar. We hear that he's got a verbal agreement. Mirko Di Natale says there is nothing of the sort as of right now. So we're all waiting as far as what's going on there, okay? We continue to hear Lorenzo Luca is the top name listed for striker coming into Juventus. Today we get a new name, and it's Evan Ferguson, 20-year-old at Brighton and whatnot. That could be an option for Juventus in January. Now, guys that watch the Prem quite a bit, Paolo, you watch a lot of Prem and whatnot. Do you have any thoughts on Evan Ferguson?
I remember his first year with Brighton, and he had a few really big games. He looked really good, strong, fast, good finisher, shoots from outside the box, shoots in tight. He can score many ways. He had a bit of an injury issue last year, so he was kind of on and off. People started to really go after him when he came out so strong, and that attention kind of dipped a bit as he had a couple of injuries, got sidelined. But I am hearing the same thing, that he's available for loan, and if he's available in January, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think he could be a great asset.
there you go. Omer, any thoughts on Evan Ferguson?
First of all, Paolo's shirt is absolutely amazing. So kudos, man. That shirt is beautiful. Evan Ferguson, yeah, I would take anything right now to have a backup for Dushan. Evan Ferguson, I'm looking at the stats. 2 seasons ago, he had 10 goals, 3 assists. Then last season, 6 and 1. I assume he kind of thrived under the Zerbi. And this season, he has 9 games, 1 goal. Young fella, Irish. I think that's fine. Yeah, I take him. I think Paolo summarized him pretty well, so I'm going to go with him. I haven't watched Brighton a whole lot this season, so I'll take Paolo's word for it.
All right, there we go. We got to see that, like we said, Luca, Lorenzo Luca, you've got Evan Ferguson now. Beto apparently still on the radar. That one does not much for many Juventini, okay? In terms of the back line, we're hearing Leches Dorgu come back in the news. However, 30 to 40 million euros is what's being thrown out there as the value Leche is going to want or whatnot. I'm not going to pay much attention to this move at all because I just don't see us doing anything that's going to cost quite a bit or be significant in value. And that's, I don't see it happening. In terms of Skriniar, it's kind of one of the things I'm against too, because the rumors continue to swirl, and today we get more rumors around a Fagioli move. If we're looking at doing certain moves and we're looking at getting rid of certain players in order to facilitate this for happening in the second half of the season, I'm definitely against it, and that just adds to me not wanting Skriniar come to Juventus, especially if we're going to say goodbye. And if that happened to be one of them, it's a flat out no from me. In general with Skriniar, it's a no from me, but I can understand the reasoning behind it and why some would want it. It's still a no from me though, fellas. Silva though, I'm going to cling to these rumors yesterday, okay? I'm just going to cling to this one. I don't care about the source. I don't want to hear who the source is. But it says that Antonio Silva, the discussions have already begun between Juventus and Benfica. So I'm going to cling to those ones and hope that maybe we find a deal there and go with that. For Skriniar, though, I'm flat out no, fellas. What are you guys fine with it? You good with it? Do you want Skriniar to come?
Well, I half agree. If it includes selling Fagioli or anyone, then that's a hard no. Play McKennie, play Milik in defense for all I care. But if it's a loan and no player has to leave, then I have no issues with Skriniar and bringing him for half a season. Not signing him. I don't want to sign him. I want to loan him to the end of the season. But I think he will be fine for Juve. I think it's a decent signing for January, considering everything that happened so far.
Huh. Paulo, you good with Skriniar? Do you want him?
Yeah, I think he's really useful for 6 months or so. I want no obligation. I don't want to lose any player for this guy. And I also don't want to be saddled with whatever his injuries and his contracts are for the next 2-3 years. No way. But I don't think he'll come on loan. I don't think they'll do us a favor and give us
Yeah.
Skriniar for 6 months. But that's the only circumstance under which I'll take him.
Yeah. Yeah, I just I don't know. Everyone knows I've never really thought much of him. I actually think his best is behind him. I question whether he's even quick enough to play in Motta's game. Yeah, and I think he's better back three. Like, there's just, the list goes on and on. But hey, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I don't know. I question a lot with Skriniar. I don't see him fitting the bill for Motta's game, but I could be wrong. He could come in and he could do a job. We're going to have to look for answers, though. As far as the injury report goes, that obviously affected this game. We know Vlahovic was individual training leading up to this game. Obviously, he's not on the squad list. McKennie, not on the squad list. Now for Douglas Luiz, we're hearing at the weekend for Lecce. Should be back. Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. Hopefully. Okay. For Nico Gonzalez, who the hell knows? For Milik, it's mid-December. Yeah. We've got a skinny squad list here. Okay. You've got 14 outfield players, 6 of which are defenders. Okay, so based on what Motta wants to do with this lineup, you could potentially have, one forward sub and one midfield sub, or you could switch it up with one of the combinations we were hearing he could play, and you could leave yourself with 2 forward subs. But I don't think that's going to be the case. One thing, any way you slice it, for this game today, and we'll talk about Champions League in general and the results that came yesterday. Because, well, Paulo, you were saying it, you're pretty fired up because the heat is on. We need to get something out of this one. And Motta is pretty much forced, regardless of the odds being stacked against us right now, he's got to nail it from the outset in terms of everything. Lineup, who he decides to hold on for some substitutions and everything, the approach, the game plan, like he's got to be spot on because he doesn't have pretty much anything for wiggle room when you look at the squad list, right? So, guys, going into this game, Paulo, you're pretty fired up yesterday with the results. Let's get your thoughts going into this one and what you're feeling.
Yeah, as all the favorites won, I think Man City drew, and that was probably the only points lost by the favored teams. With all those guys winning, getting 3 points, the pressure's on us. I think we can't afford to not get out of this game with at least a point. And I'm pretty worried. And I hope Motta doesn't blow it because I put this on him now. He's got an opportunity to go after Villa. We saw that he didn't do that against Milan. I'm hearing that he's going to try the experiment with Coop at the top again. And I think this one's on him because when I look at our 11 versus their 11, man for man, position by position, there's no reason why our starting 11 with the right setup can't get a result against this team. I think we match up well. And I think it's on Motta. So I'm fired up because we need the points and we need to bring some of that grinta, some of that classic Juve tradition and respect and mythology to the field today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Loud and clear as far as what we got to do. We do have to bring the fight and everything. We will pull up this squad list for anybody that, hasn't seen it. I mean, it's pretty damn skinny there, okay? Literally 6 defenders. And there you have the rest. With what we're hearing as far as the lineup goes, yeah, we were hearing it was going to be this experimental thing with the midfielders up top. We're now hearing otherwise that Weah will be leading the line for Juve today. Colt Miners will take up his role as the 10. There were doubts about Chico Conceição starting this match, but the latest projected lineup has him out there. So I prepared both, okay? And we've got kind of, like I said, we got the contradiction here, but this is what it was originally slated that we were going to see. Di Gregorio, Savona, Gatti, Kalulu, Cambiaso, Locatelli, Thuram. That's been steady throughout with all the projected lineups. Then you had Chico Conceição on the bench, Weah on the right playing for him. Then you had Fagioli with Cope Miners. So essentially McKennie, the one that can't make the squad list for this game, being left out, Fagioli entering, Cope Miners continuing with this little experiment, and then Yildiz out on the left. The other lineup we get is completely the same, except for Cope Miners dropping back into the 10 role, Weah leading the line, and Chico Conceição on the right to start this game. Fellas, which one do you prefer? Is there a different variation you would like to see? Omer, out of those two lineups, which one do you want to see?
I'll take the second one. Wea as a striker, Coop just below him. That's how squad list used to look like in the 90s, right?
It's pretty damn skinny,
Yeah.
man. Like
Yeah.
4
When you had,
forwards,
like-
4 mids, 3 goalkeepers. Maybe we get Pinsolio up striking. Geez, he's got to have fresh legs. Come on.
He'll be psyched. He'll love it. Yeah, I'll take the second one. The rest pretty much picks itself. Not a whole lot of options, but it definitely is a match you can win.
Yeah.
It's not like out of our reach. And at this point, I'm asking myself if I could even blame Motta if we lose that. I mean, losing how many? 7, 8 players right now. Most of them are starters or could be starters. I mean, that's a tough deal. I don't know if... I mean, that's a tough hand he got dealt. Yeah, Juve can win this match. I think they will win this match eventually. It won't be easy. It never is in England. But, yeah, the starting lineup chooses itself. I don't have a lot of options to choose from. My main guy would be Thuram, because he's been on fire. And that's about it. I mean, not a whole lot to dive into, right?
Oh, I disagree. There's a lot to dive into. I'm about to dive into a lot.
That we haven't.
I got a ton of feelings when it comes to the lineup and things. The fact that he landed on this whole midfield thing, even against Milan, was kind of like crazy to me. It's a little bit wild. Like, I mean, we made sense of it and why he could try to do this and whatnot, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't really understand the reluctance to try and utilize Yildiz up at the top, especially when you got a kid like Imbangula who hasn't really seen much pitch at all since starting the season very, very strongly for Juventus. You had other alternatives, you had other options. He also had plenty of time, Motta did, leading up to this whole Vlahovic out scenario. So even to pull that one out against Milan was kind of like, what? Like, okay, I get it. You can make sense of it. But Yildiz is sitting right there. And even when I look at Weah is absolutely fine on the wings. And he's been finding a way to contribute any way you slice it. Yildiz seems to me the one that makes the most sense to try there, especially when it comes to the touch and the ball retention. Because when we do see Weah up at the top, he's very active. He's coming back. He's showing he's trying to be an option. The touch kind of lets him down here and there, and he can't really utilize his speed as much as he can on the wings. It's one of these things where I really, I'm curious why Motta is so reluctant to do that and is just fine to leave Yildiz out there. Furthermore, if I'm speaking about Yildiz as an individual, okay, it's like the guy on the wings, sometimes I feel like there's too many options for him. Too many things that run through his mind and whatever, and every now and then he isn't making the right decision. But I think he'll get less if you put him at the top and let him play as this false nine, that he kind of naturally drops back and wants the ball at feet and wants to collect that. That's as close to replicating what Motta had at Bologna last season in terms of how he used Xerxes or whoever replaced Xerxes and played up at the top. It's a weird little scenario here, and Motta's just been staying away from it. So today, when I heard that it was going to be Fagioli, Colt Miners ahead of him, I was ready to flip, guys. I was ready to. I'm serious. Like, it wasn't even against Milan. Like, you could say, "Oh yeah, let's give it some more reps. This is going to be." No, it's a flat out no. It was terrible. It was terrible. Now, we had no focal point. He didn't even use Colt Miners up top. We can't even say Colt Miners did play up top because he didn't. We just had McKennie and Colt Miners in the midfield with Thuram and Locatelli. We just had flat out 4 midfielders and 2 wingers. The fact that he's going to play way up top, definitely I'd rather go that route. But I would not be afraid to utilize Yildiz, even if you've only seen it for garbage time minutes once or twice leading up to this game. I think it's the natural move for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to look for, especially if you're trying to find an alternative to what Vlahovic was doing before. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all for this game. I'm just speaking in terms of Motta and my thoughts and my feelings around him. If I'm talking about the games in general, I hate to say it, boys. Do we need to get smacked first to actually play properly and get after something in games? Because it feels like when we control, we lack that extra little bit of oomph to kind of get after the goals and take it to teams. Yet, if we go down, all of a sudden the urgency's there. All of a sudden we're moving the ball at great tempo and we look like we can damage and we can punish teams. I hope that's not the case today. Because if we get punched once, it could hurt us. And they don't stop. It's not like in Italy when you get punched first or whatnot. Like, you got to ramp it up. And as great as the Leipzig game was for the end result, we could have got smacked more and they missed great opportunities as well. So, does Juve have to get smacked first to wake up and get into this game? These are just kind of my thoughts, my feelings, my fears. What do you guys think going into this one? Are we gonna be ready to go, ready to fire right from the outset, or are we gonna be patient and passive? What do you expect right out of the gate?
Paolo, go ahead.
I think it depends what Motta decides to do. I was thinking about whether it should be Yildiz on the left, whether it should be Weah in the middle. Part of me wanted to see Yildiz at the top. Part of me wanted to see that dynamic, exciting, dangerous player have that freedom in and around the box to go in, to stay outside, to make runs, to give and go, to have that ownership of that spot. You could say that Aston Villa is getting their players back. They're getting their form back slowly. Their defense is a little less leaky than it has been early on, but it's still vulnerable. They're not the fastest team at the back and through the middle. So I was really excited to see what might happen if Yildiz had that chance. But then I started thinking about Matty Cash, who's a fan favorite. He's a doll of the team. And I'd love to see Yildiz turn him inside out on that left wing. So he can be desperate and reactionary, and Matty Cash can also draw unnecessary fouls when he gets frustrated. So then I started thinking, well, you know what? Weah is strong in the middle, and I'd love to see Yildiz turn that guy inside out. And maybe Yildiz and Weah can swap. Like, maybe I want a surprise from Motta. I want him to be aggressive, proactive. I think we have to be on possession, but aggressive. And I think we have to go after Villa while we can. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
The whole Chico starting from the bench thing, this always gets some fans fired up. You would obviously think about Motta trying to spread out how thin the squad is and keep somebody with significant impact. And I'd have to say he probably carries the most impact if we're talking offensively in terms of creation out of the entire roster. Would you want him held back, or do you want him from the outset to be out there on the pitch, fellas?
Look, I think he is, let's say, more effective coming off the bench from what I've seen. Now, Douglas Costa was a huge favorite of mine, but I had to admit that he's a better option off the bench than in the starting lineup. That's where he shined the most, and I had no issues with him coming off the bench. And now Chico is very young, and it's not the case with him. But I do feel like he is a bit more dangerous coming off the bench because the game shapes up differently, and teams tend to not run too much when it's the final 20-30 minutes. If they don't have to, that's when Chico, that's his time to shine. He needs close spaces, and when we have room to roam and the other team attack, that's where he finds it a bit more difficult. From what I've seen, that's my opinion. I have no issues with him coming off the bench. I would love to see him start the match, but also we have to keep in mind that some of those players went to the internationals, and they need to rest too, and you need to manage the games, and Lecce is no less important. I think, is it Lecce on the weekend?
Yes.
It's not less important than Aston Villa for me. I said at the beginning of the season, Champions League right now is a luxury. I want Juve to go through the next stage because of the money, mainly, because that will probably help fund our January mercado. But the league is top priority for me.
Yeah.
And now with the amount of injuries we have to calculate the minutes and pay close attention to it, because if we lose Chico or Cambiasso or Locatelli, Juve changes a lot, and we can't afford to have that. And Chico is the type of player who runs a lot.
Long time. Great having you. Great seeing you in the live there, brother. Hope all's well. Now, I don't know. Okay, so if I'm looking at Chico, I don't think it's a situation of starting versus off the bench or being any better. I think he's as effective no matter when he plays. He is always drawing extra bodies. And what drove me nuts in the Milan match, again, is that drive, is that vigor from the entire squad to do something and pick up on it and acknowledge that. Because while Teo and Leao and Chico and Savona kind of ruled each other all out in that game, Chico still, when he got the ball, drew everybody to that flank and still moved it out, still more often than not cut inside and then made a ball move to somebody else, and then we just fell flat. So he's still doing his thing. And the other thing is too is the dirty work. You can't forget about the dirty work. Chico is not afraid to get his hands dirty. I think he's fine either way. I think it comes down to the games and the spaces that are available. And when he's coming in on tired legs, or when he has come in as a substitute, well, those games are pretty open too. And I mean, he came in pretty early in the Leipzig game and was solid because Nico Gonzalez got injured in that game. That's that famous minor injury that he's been dealing with. Yeah, minor injury. My ass. Anyways, yeah, I don't see any issues with Chico no matter how you want to use him. I'm of the belief that it's a preference thing usually with fans when you're talking about these. Who's going to have the impact if you're going with Weah, Yildiz, Chico all from the outset? It only leaves you Mbangula as a forward substitute. I don't want to knock the kid because he hasn't gotten like hardly anything for minutes since a red hot start. But obviously, Chico coming in on some tired legs would carry way more effect and impact.
Yeah. Let's say we have to turn the match on its head. It's the 60th minute. We're behind. As things aren't working, Juve can get out of their own defense, can create chances. Do you want Mbangula coming off the bench or Chico? It's a hypothetical. We could believe.
I might be okay with Mbangula doing that if it moves Yildiz centrally and at the top. I might be down with that to be honest.
Mhm.
But
I would prefer to have either Wea or Chico as an option off the bench. And
yeah, the
Bangula,
only
yeah,
issue
he's
there is
talented.
the only way Weah sits, unless again he plays Yildiz up top, the only way Weah sits is if he's going to sit Chico, that means he's going out to the wing. Unless you're starting
Mhm.
in Bangula, which would be on the right side, because Yildiz is going in the lineup 100%. So
Yeah,
you either
for
play
sure.
Mbangula on the right, where he hasn't looked good, nowhere near as effective or good as on the left side. It's all this big shuffle. It's all this big
Mhm.
juggling act. But for Chico, maybe the play is keeping him for later on in this one. It's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do. But the latest projected lineup, as stated, has Chico Conceição starting at the right with Weah up top and Yildiz on the left. Hey, subs could be very, very important. And we might be leaving ourselves to Imbangula in attack coming off the bench. It'll be interesting to see what plays out. Will he shift into this Colt Miners thing that he had going against Milan? Maybe that's his in-game switch. I think I'd stay away from it. But hey, let's see what happens. As far as the opponents go, Aston Villa in Champions League, solid, picking up 3 wins out of 4. Obviously, dropped one there, but they did have an impressive victory over Bayern Munich. They're going to be raring to go here. We talked about some of the results yesterday. Um, can we get a health, like a health and safety check on Pep? His head was looking pretty rough there yesterday. A
Wow.
3-0 lead blown to Feyenoord. 3-3 draw. He's going to be hell-bent in Champions League
See,
come
we
their
they only
visit to
lost
Turin.
one. They only lost one really important player, and they crumbled. I mean, some credit to Juve, a little bit, for holding it out with 8 injuries.
7 points Juve through 4 matches. Okay. 3 points today goes a long way. Gets you right back at 10th there. Or 10 points there. Gets you right back in the mix. Level with Leverkusen. That's sitting in 5th place. Monaco, Arsenal, Sporting, Brest, all at 10 points. A win goes a long, long way and actually would ease some of the pressure in that match with City, because City's going to be hell-bent on getting after it. But all of a sudden, do we carry the same fear we had previously with City? Paulo?
The question being, are we worried about City coming to Turin and losing to them, or our situation if we play that game and we didn't come out with any points today? Not sure if I get your question.
Do we carry the same fear? We were always looking at the Man City game thinking, and a lot of fans were thinking, you know
Oh, I
what?
see.
Can't bank on getting anything out of that one. Don't bank on anything. But has the tune changed all of a sudden? We seem to be steady Eddie, and like to Omer's point, despite all these injuries. But do we think we can get more than what we thought previously? Are you looking at this game differently than you did a month ago?
A little bit. I'm a little more comforted that City is struggling. The Rodri issue is bigger than anybody had imagined. It hasn't gotten any better for them, and I wouldn't rule them out though. We have trouble scoring. We have great defense. Man City is still a very strong squad. Pep's still a good coach. If they're desperate at that point, they're going to put up a fight, and I think we're going to be really tight if we don't come up with points today. So I think we're in a good spot against City, but I think a lot of it depends on what happens today. I think I'm not going to try and sound alarmist, but I think today I think today dictates a lot of our Champions League future.
You know what? I kind of feel the same way. Today's a big one. And like I said, their run of form, City's, today eases a lot for us if we find the 3 points. It eases a lot for Juve, and it would open things up quite nicely. The backside of City there with the remaining, there'll be 2 games remaining after City, I believe, right? Benfica. It's Club Brugge, I believe. Am I mistaken, or do we have... yeah, because this will be our... No, we'll have 3 games, right? Are we about to play our 5th? Yes, we are. So we'll have 3 more games. So I'm just looking at their schedule because I'm trying to figure out... I know it's Club Brugge. I know it's Benfica. Who am I missing? I'm missing...
It's City, Brugge, and Benfica. That's our 3 after Villa.
Yeah, so
Villa
City
was
will
the
be
5th.
5th. No, there's one more, right? Bruges, Benfica.
And City. You
Well, that's
haven't
it.
played Aston Villa yet. That's the 5th game.
Yeah. Okay, Villa, City, Bruges, Benfica. So I was on it there. Okay. Yeah.
Look.
Bruges will be tough, but we can definitely get some there. Benfica, we have a terrible record historically, but I would go into those games feeling okay. This one today is big. It's crucial any way you slice it. The pressure's on. The odds are stacked against Juve and Motta. Maybe that's when we deliver the most. But Juve, English opponents on England soil, history's not the kindest there. But Paolo brought up a moment when it was. So hopefully that's the case. We are going to get to predictions. I want to know where everybody in the chat's at today, how you're feeling. I've got the FC25 simulation that you're going to see after this live show, okay? So stay tuned for that one. But how are you guys feeling? It's time to put the money where the mouth is. Final score, 2 tiebreakers. Everybody in the chat, fire away, and then we'll have Storm the Barn. Omer, why don't you kick us off with your prediction?
I do think Juve are winning this match. I think it will take some time to get used to the cold, and just playing in England is not easy. It never is. So, but I do think Juve are going to win. I think it's a solid 1-0, 70th, 80th minute goal. And that's about it. I don't see Juve scoring a whole lot. And I just hope they can keep a clean sheet. That's been our thing this season. And so, yeah, tiebreakers.
Holy smokes. The 1-0 train running rampant here. Cole, Patrice, Justin.
I'm creating trends, I told you. I'm a trendsetter. So, let's go with... I told you Coop Miner scores his first against Lecce a few podcasts ago, so I'm sticking to that. Where gets another goal today, and let's say 10 yellows.
Whew.
Tough match. No, 10 seems excessive. Let's go with 7. 7 yellows.
7 yellows, way a goal. All right, Paolo,
All you win.
you're up, my man. Final score, 2 tiebreakers.
Okay, couple of quick things. Emery says we're the favorites, so he's already playing games. Villa wants to win. They are desperate to see Juve come and fail. They are desperate for this win. The fans are going to be crazy. Emery also called on the fans saying we need all the fans to help us. Juve's the favorite. I think we still have arguably the best defense. Money. The money that we spent, some of it's on there, but I think we have the best defense right now. And if Motta goes for this, if he starts Chico, which I hope he does, because I want to see for the first 60, 70 minutes, the 11 best players we have available to us try and get us the lead. So I think it's going to be 1-0 Juve with a goal from Yildiz on a magnificent effort. And I think Watkins is going to tie late, and I think it's going to be 1-1. And I'll take it, even though I will be disappointed. I'll take it.
Well. All right, so 1-1. Yildiz.
Honestly, this game has a draw written all over it, but I'll still.
Juve has a draw written all over them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Juve
theme of
in
the
general's
season.
got a draw written all over it. Then this is what I'm having a real tough time with. Is the game going to be open enough to a degree where our kind of personal battles are pushed aside and we can actually play like a fluid, free-flowing game. Because if that's the case, I feel completely different about Juventus. If it's a patient chess match type of match, I feel like we'll lull ourselves into a sleep until a moment calls where maybe it's an adverse situation and then we have to, like I said, snap out of it and get going. I don't really know. I will get to my prediction. Jesus Gil Manzano is the official. A La Liga ref. 239 La Liga appearances, 5.7 yellows per game average, 69 red cards, 94 PKs given in those matches. For Champions League, he's only done 27 matches. He's got 4 yellows per game average, and he's given 9 PKs in those 27 matches. Will we see one today? Maybe. Maybe we get a PK in this game. I'm going to say... I was going to say 1-1 draw the entire way. I just feel like this is going to be a 1-1 draw game. And I feel like Juve is going to be coming back to equalize in this. I hope I'm wrong with my prediction, obviously. Anytime I don't predict Juve to win. And more often than not, I do predict Juventus to win. But I need them to show me something today especially. And I get that the injury list is ridiculous. It's almost as big as the squad list, for God's sakes. I get it. But I need something here. I need to see... I spoke very critically about Motta and just being safe in general, especially back home in Italy. That Milan match, especially, that's there for the taking. And I don't like us not making a solid attempt and effort to take what's there. Milan should have been the one feeling very ashamed for their performance. They were at home and everything. But I think there's a little mud on our face too because we needed to get after and do more. And the fact that we're not, the fact that we're okay, very, very passive, very, very laid back. No, I need to see something. I need to see that push. I always thought after, Leipzig, okay, this is the turning point. We can now show what we've got and we can open up teams we could punish. But it's always been something. Oh, the low block, we can't figure out the low block. Okay, well, you play Milan, you're dominating possession in their house, and you can only muster up 7 attempts throughout the whole 90 minutes. It's not enough. It's not enough. On a crappy Milan performance from them today, I got to see something. I got to see us get after it with some serious, serious motivation and drive. So I'm going to call 1-1, and I hope that the lads prove me wrong. If I'm going to pick a goal scorer, I will actually throw Weah's name out there to get the one for Juve. And I'm going to say, as far as another tiebreaker, I think we concede on a set piece. And it's funny. Motta said some very strange things in the presser. One of them was, speaking to set pieces, made no inclination as to what he's going to do to change. But he goes, set pieces. They're going to be very important offensively and defensively. We've got to be strong. Well, what's your idea? Like, why has it been so brutal? We know it's been a lot of the deliveries have been brutal for us offensively and whatnot, but the execution's been very, very poor. We got to be strong there. Especially just with English sides in general. Like, they're very, very good in the air. They just are, right? It's like a staple of a lot of the Prem clubs. So we'll have to be aware there, but I do think we concede one there. He also, the strange thing he said, in speaking to the injuries, he says it's not just by chance these injuries come. It's not just coincidence or whatnot, but I don't think it's productive to look into it too much right now as to what's going on. I'm sorry, what? What? Okay. Well, have fun with your one midfielder sub and your one forward sub, and let's not look into it. Let's just ride it out. Let's see what happens. I'll tell you what to do. Burn J Medical down, everybody, okay? Burn it down. Outsource, outsource, outsource. Listen, a draw, like I said, reverse jinx prediction. I'd like to see 3 points. I'd like
Look,
to
it
see
is
3
important.
points. It's a winnable game, guys. It's a
If we
winnable
do
game.
win today, if we do win today, we jump both City and Villa in the table,
Yeah.
which will be a good state of mind going into the City game. So yeah, like Paulo said, I feel this game is a bit more important. I didn't expect a whole lot from City, just kind of measuring where Juve are compared to the elites of Europe. But things have changed drastically, and so the expectations are kind of different. Yeah,
And
today
you
is
know
a
what?
must-win.
This new, Super League format, by the way, Andrea Agnelli, this is his brainchild. It's playing up to the whole. It's playing up to what it was supposed to be. It's wild from like round to round. Now you're like the midway mark. 4 games have been played. You're going into 5th, and you're seeing the crunch, and you're seeing these teams line up. It's not groups. It's not a home and away. It's wild. It's exactly kind of what it was supposed to be, and I find it hilarious. All the people that were so anti-Super League, it's going to ruin football and everything, they've literally copy and pasted the entire thing. And now the majority of fans out there are like, oh, this new format is crazy. Like, it's wild and whatnot. Like, it's great. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay? But UEFA's still a bunch of clowns, and they're definitely going to get one of these. Okay? Now, Storm the Barn. It's time, everybody. It's time, everybody. Fire away with Storm the Bar. Cugino Eddie jumping in here. Who takes the PKs with Duchan out? Cope Miners. I would immediately say Cope Miners takes them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, Paolo. It's got to be Coop.
Yeah, although I wouldn't feel bad if Yildiz took one.
Yeah, I'd be fine with Yildiz taking one, but yeah, I feel like Cope would be. And wouldn't that be something? Break his duck, get that first one on a PK today. 1 in every 3 games from Jesus Gil Manzano, the official. So maybe this is the one. We wait and see. Jeremiah, do you feel Motta is leaning towards a more pragmatic approach to almost every game? Well, who wants to tackle that one? Are we becoming more pragmatic, or are we as pragmatic as we've been throughout this season?
I don't feel like it changed. Like we're as pragmatic as we've been since the beginning of the season. The matches change. The opponents are playing differently. Playing in Italy is one thing. Europe turned out to be a bit different. But I don't feel like you are becoming more pragmatic each match. You are kind of a wild card right now. I mean, just look at the Inter match. City at home failed to score 1. We somehow scored 4 at the San Siro. It's insane to me. So I can't quite put my finger on what Juve are right now. They're not overly offensive. They're not overly defensive. So they're just pragmatic as it comes.
Paulo.
I think yesterday we saw a lot of top teams take flight. They scored a lot of goals. They destroyed their opponents that they should have beaten. They beat convincingly for the most part. And I think in the beginning when Motta started this season, we were interesting because I think there was a lot of unknowns. And we've talked about this before, Bert, where every game there's something new that we're curious about with this team, that we're trying to figure out. There's a different wrinkle each time. And early on, we were a bit unpredictable because of the situation. I think we've become more and more predictable. And I worry about our trajectory. Injuries are understandably a part of it, but I worry about our trajectory when we haven't been scoring. And I said this last week. I'll believe it when I see it. I think this is a crucial time in our season and in the Champions League for us to show something more. and I worry that this pragmatism is getting baked in, and
Yeah.
it's going to be harder to shake. You can't just snap out of it, and I think it's the reason we have all these draws. It
Yeah,
worries me.
I mean, and it's the thing is like I said, I've been feeling the same. I've been saying the same thing for a while. It's not like I've just come across this where after the Milan game, I'm just saying now that we're too safe. We have been too safe. We always felt like we got these couple matches where it's like, okay, now we can kind of hit that next gear. It hasn't happened. And I said it a while ago. I feel like this is Motta. He's fine with it. He's fine as long as they're not losing, you know? But they did. They lost to Stuttgart. They got slapped around. But there's been a lot of draws. There's been, this passive play. Things are different from Bologna to Juventus. He's maybe feeling that too and finding that out. But, it's completely different. And Paolo, you, myself, and Lewis, we spoke about it, You can get after it a bit more at Bologna. Maybe he did get after it a bit more because he knows if he takes that L, he's not going to face the Fury. You're playing with free money almost. And he had a good run last season. Got them into a great spot. And like I said, you could take risks. You could take chances. Here, he knows everything. Like, for God's sakes, you're undefeated in the league, but you're still facing heat. Because at Juve, you must win. So, I don't know if that plays into it coming out even more safe. I'm not sure. Is it a personnel thing? Some people still believe that it's the players. And if you change something at the top, it unlocks everything from there. I'm not so sure. I believe Motta is the same man I told you he was in the summer. He is defense first. And he believes in the defense from the top all the way to the back. And it's everything he does, including attacking. Always has defense in mind. And it's probably a reason you don't see a lot of through balls, a lot of guys making those runs and behind the fence, and everything is in front so that when you do lose the ball, you're still in a position to work for it and slow the opposition down. I don't know if we ever see that breakthrough. I don't know. I'm waiting for it because it's the last piece of the puzzle. You got to be a little bit more brave. The team has to figure this out. And it's up to Motta too. I hope he's got it in him, and I hope he can shake it. But I'll tell you what now, I don't believe the pragmatic approach is any more extreme than it has been prior. I think it's the same level. I think now we're just noticing it because of the run. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say to that one. If you could pick one Villa player to bring to Turin, who would you choose? Paolo, kick us off.
I'd take Watkins.
Watkins?
Yeah.
That was going to be my pick. It would be Watkins. Omer, who are you picking?
I take Pau Torres.
Pau Torres. That's a good shout too.
Yeah. I like the guy.
Somebody
like
at the back
Piero,
or somebody at the front. Go figure.
Yeah, exactly what we need, right?
Exactly. There you go. Tuna steaks. Do we score off a set piece today? Short corner to Coop outside the box style banger. A set piece goal today for Juve? Guys, are we going to get a set piece goal?
I gotta say that the one against Milan was super predictable. They've seen it. When Cambiaso stood there and Coop outside the box. Yeah,
you
don't
can't do it from a corner. You're supposed to do it
You can't
from
do it
like
from
a
a
free
corner.
kick.
No,
The
that was
first
a free
attempt
kick
we
too.
had that he blocked, but doing it from a corner is asking a lot. Like, the team's really got to be sleeping.
You can't use that all the time. Like you gotta keep it in your arsenal, but still, it was very predictable. I knew they were going to try it. Milan knew they were going to try it, and it didn't work out. I would love a set piece goal. We've yet to have one this season, right? We had a few in the preseason, um, but beyond that, yeah, set pieces are important. Like we need to get some set piece goals, and we do have like tall, big, physical guys. I have no idea what changed. I don't see anything different in the way Juve are
My
standing
answer is
inside the
no.
area.
We are not seeing a set
You
piece
think
goal
we're
from
not
Juve
getting
today.
one?
Flat
I
out.
don't think we're seeing one.
I don't think we're seeing one today. Paulo, are we getting a
I,
set piece goal today?
We barely score. Never mind set pieces. I don't think we have a set piece goal in us right now. And
Yeah.
also, don't forget their goalie, Martinez. He's pretty good. He's a World Cup champ,
oh,
and
I
he's
hate
not.
that guy.
He's going to be really confident against set pieces. We have to get him out of position, and that's going to be something on the ground in the box with motion.
Yeah.
So no to set pieces. I'm unfortunately going to guess.
Yeah, I would have to say no. Can we win with Cope Miners up top? Yield is wide, and is Motta able to make the adjustment? We can win with the guys we have available. We can win this game. Okay, well, even if it's Cope Miners up top. The problem with Cope Miners up top is that we never saw Cope Miners up top, other than 2 sequences. So I don't really know what we have there because we didn't even really see it. So, and again, I would tend to lean towards that because of Malta being safe. Like, he still gave Cope Miners all the same duties. We never saw him get forward advanced. I don't know what the hell was going on with that against Milan, but it was an absolute waste of a match to get some answers while we wait for Duchamp. So that was infuriating from that match for me. But yeah, we can win with whoever we have out there today. Let's be serious. This game is not like, and even Villa being listed as the favorite, they are officially listed as the favorites. It's not heavy leaning that way, even on the odds. This is tight. This could be a coin toss. My fear is that we have to get slapped first to wake up and actually play this. And I'm not going to like that if that's the case. I really, really won't like that. But we all agree this is a critical one for Champions League.
Got to keep the crowd out of it. Got to keep the crowd quiet. So yeah, I don't want to get slapped early.
I know. That's
why
the
we
thing.
respond.
I do not want to get slapped early. If we're looking at projected lineup for them, we should look at Villa there. Obviously, 4-2-3-1. Same setup. Martinez obviously in goal. Cash, Carlos Torres, Digne, Onana, Telemans, Rogers, McGinn, Bailey, and Watkins. And yeah, it'll be interesting. Some interesting matchups there for sure. But I would tend to think if Chico plays even from the start, he's going to have to, he can do some damage. I think he could do some damage. He could be the one to go. We talked about the yield is cash matchup there. And Paolo was saying that, yeah, that could be a good one there to watch out for. In the middle of the park, Locatelli and Thuram, we got to talk about them because they've been really building something solid for Juve. And then you look across the way with their set. Obviously, Teleman's been around quite some time. Solid midfielder and everything.
He's slow. Tielemans is good, but he's slow.
He is slow.
He's smart.
He is slow.
He missed a penalty, right, in the last match, last weekend. Yeah, so maybe his moral is down.
What do we see us coming out with more possession? Do you think we'll be able to control the midfield?
Yes.
I believe we should be controlling the midfield in this game, which will play a big part for us if we can win that battle. But if I'm looking pound for pound on paper between our lineup and theirs and how Locatelli and Thuram have been playing, also with Cope Miners, a big key, not having him up top there, but get him in the middle of the park. I think the advantage in the middle of the park goes to Juve.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And yeah, physicality is the Premier League's game, and I do think our midfield is a bit more physical than Villa's is. And yeah, they can definitely dominate the midfield. They should. And I believe they will.
Yeah.
Villa's
And
really
that,
athletic. They're very fast, and they play a very
mhm,
high line. I don't know how that's gonna
mhm.
go for us if we. I mean, we don't usually chase. Like we don't usually launch and chase and get in behind defenders very often. So It's gonna be curious to see how we manage their high line and their speed.
If they're going to play that high line, Weah is probably the play then for sure up top. Because if we can work a couple 1-2s, find Cope, drop it back to like Locatelli coming up and he can send, you're going to have to keep them honest with it. And we're going to have to get the legs going and push them back a bit. Weah's going to have to be key there. Conceição will be coming back. The wingers will be coming back to help defensively too. But a big, big part of it is winning that battle in the midfield. I think we should be able to do that. But Weah might be the call then if they're going to play that high line with us and they want to keep that going. Yeah, then probably Weah right at the top's the way to go. I would have to say.
Yeah.
Villa's
I
been
have a
vulnerable
question, by
to
the way.
transition. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Omar.
No, I have a question for later after the
Yeah, yeah.
STBs. Hmm.
I was going to mention that Villa's vulnerable to transition, and even Emery's pointed that out, that they're working on that. So if we are slow, patient, possessive, possession-based approach like we've had, we're going to give them time to avoid transition vulnerabilities. So as much as I'm super happy we're very good on defense, we got a lot of clean sheets, we don't concede much, we haven't lost. In the Serie A, I am worried about our possession being a strength for Villa in that we won't test them on transition, which is a weakness they're working on.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah,
be
that's a good
a
point.
lot of questions. A lot of questions
I'm
that
so
like
anxious. I'm so excited. I'm
I
so
know.
anxious.
I'm super excited, by the way. Yeah, I don't know if it comes off that way, chat. If we're
I
excited,
gotta
but
say
we
this.
are.
This is what's funny to me is even like what I was saying earlier, the last show and everything about Motta and how safe, that I feel he is and whatnot. I still have this feeling going into all these games that like I don't feel we're getting slapped by anyone necessarily. And I still always feel like the control, like we kind of dictate what goes down with us, and it's still more always on us with this game style and how he's playing and everything, like how he's got us playing. I still feel like it's in our hands, so I'm not like I said, it's our frustrations. Like, do we need a slap in the face to wake up in this one? Are we going to be there to answer the bell right when it rings? Like when the bell rings, if we're there, yeah, I feel pretty good. Like we said, the midfield, we should be controlling this game.
Hmm.
That'll bode well for us. I do think, based on how they're going to play as well, that will open up space for key players for us. Yildiz, Chico, I think they'll get their reps. They'll have their moments to try and make something happen. High line. If they want to go with the high line, Weah is probably the exact guy we need to have up at the top. His positioning has been fantastic if you look at the goals he's scoring. He has been solid positionally, and there's something to be said for that. Being at the right place at the right time could very well
Hmm.
be something that breaks this game, is just being at the
That
right spot at the right
this
time.
is
So
something that Dushan kind of doesn't have. The spatial awareness, the reading of the game, where the ball is going to land, like his crosses and stuff, he's always out of position in those situations. And Wea seems to kind of understand it, maybe because he's not the main man and they don't pay as much attention to him as they do to Dushan and Ildiz. But I do feel that that's something Wea has that Dushan doesn't.
maybe
Those
today
tap-ins.
Maybe today channels his father's spirit there, and the
Oh,
George way comes out, and he
I
just goes
wish.
off for one and gets a hat trick. Who knows? Who knows? But no, despite the feelings, despite some of the concerns, hey, we're learning about Motta and his Juventus as we go. But yeah, I'm still excited for this game. Like I'm always excited for this Juve, despite what I've been seeing and wanting them to open up more. I know it's in our hands. I'm just waiting for if it's going to happen. To Tuna Steak's question here, it's like, do you think we haven't seen Yildiz at the 9 yet because of Monta's stubbornness? Or maybe doesn't like the movements he sees in the kid from that position? I don't know what the deal is, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why we haven't seen it or whatnot, but these are questions that, you know, the journal's got to be asking these guys. When the presser's like, why not Yildiz up at the top? And he'll give you the same generic answer that, oh, yeah, of course he could play up there. You know? You say, yeah, I believe he could play up there. Absolutely. He's
I
got all the traits
do.
that can play up there, and he won't give you a straight answer anyway. So the truth is, who knows? Who the hell knows? I
I
don't
do
know.
remember like a report of I don't know, maybe 2 months ago that he was tried there in training. I think I remember a report from maybe Albanese or one of those guys. I'm I'm doubtful he never tried it, just being stubborn. And I don't want Ildiz there, especially with all the injuries. But maybe he has seen something in training that he didn't like. Maybe Ildiz told him that he feels a bit less comfortable there, or maybe he's just stubborn. We have no idea, but I can be. I think I'm 100% sure he was tried there at least in training.
I mean, the strange thing in all of this is like Imbangula could also get some more minutes. You've got a couple other
Yeah,
guys too with the injury
yeah,
list that's getting kind of suspect. Is like Yildiz is one of them playing a ton. Cambiaso is another that's played the most minutes on
and
our
he was
team.
limping last match. He held his leg,
He
and
took
I
a
thought,
knock. He did work it out
yeah.
while he was on, but that was a huge alarm bell moment where that thing was ringing. It's like, dude, if Cambiaso goes down,
Oh,
my
I was
God.
ready to print obituaries. I mean, I just looked at him. I didn't even look at the match. I just followed him for the next
I'll
10
tell you
minutes to
what, I
see if
was
he
ready
pulls
to
through.
turn off the lights, okay, to the studio, shut it down, and walk away and be like, this season, I'm telling you, cursed.
Done.
But we got to watch out for these guys too. And Yildiz would be one we got to take care of as well. But Imbangula, I mean, he could be getting more minutes than what
He
we're
should be
seeing.
getting
And
more
I don't
minutes.
know if that ties into the pressure for the results that Motta may be feeling. That's, again, different to Bologna. All those draws are cool if you're Bologna. But he's seeing the heat. He's feeling the pressure, I think, from being a Juve where they have to be 3 points.
But
And
I do think you are going to kick it off in the second half of the season. And
so,
it has happened before. It's not out of the question. Yeah, like let's say a mediocre start to the season, and considering injuries, new team, everything is new, then it's understandable. I'm not overly critical for what we've achieved so far, but I do expect Juve, and I think they will like really start showing what they're worth in the second half of the season from January, February onwards.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Lippi was struggling, then experimenting, put three fours together, then it all clicked. Maybe Motta just needs to find his Lippi moment. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's another part to talk about is chemistry. I
Hmm.
mean, the injuries don't help with that. But for the most part, you've got a lot of these guys that have played together now for a decent amount of time. Should the creation be more than what we're seeing, despite the injuries?
It should, absolutely should. Um, yeah, but chemistry, we know it takes time, and a lot of our like creators have been sidelined um, for quite a while. At least the guys we expected to be like the assist providers and stuff. So I mean, it can get better. but it
I
hasn't
don't
been up to par so far. I
I
expected a bit more.
I don't think chemistry is the one thing slowing us down in terms of the number of chances we create. I don't even think it's a chemistry issue. I think it's flat
Hmm.
out. You you can, when you watch certain teams that are bagging goals, that are like feeling it offensively and whatnot, like they leave themselves open. They have to, but they're getting after it. They're getting after the attack. Like if a team is going to clamp down at the back or they're going to go into their shell defensively, they don't even have to play a low blocker by any means. Just they're in their defensive shell. They'll send the extra bodies. They'll send the ball in. They'll play the difficult balls to defend, even if it means they may lose possession through it, and even if it means that they may get an opening to run back at them. We're not doing that. To me, that's not a, I mean, to a degree it is a player thing, but I also feel it's a coach thing. Like it's, you know, don't leave yourself open. Don't leave yourself open. You're taking all high percentage. The problem is when you play all high percentage balls, yeah, it's dull, boring, and predictable, and you don't get a lot out of it. And I feel like that's what we're doing. We're playing high percentages for safety reasons. You ain't going to unlock a lot.
I think we're afraid to lose possession, and I think you're absolutely right. It's chemistry's a little bit of that being a new team, and one thing I love about listening to Omer is that he can kind of calm you down and reset, right? Like calma, calma. It's the first year. We've got injuries. The second half will be something that we'll grow into, and I believe you.
Thank you.
However, the possession is something that I think is a strength, and I think it does slow us down. I think guys are afraid to lose the ball. And it really stops us from, once we cross that halfway line, from making quick, direct ball movements, long, low, high switch passes, guys running off and receiving longer balls, tic tac toe down to the box. We're so slow in those transitions. There's no chop, 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 right? So when we make our way down to the box and set up, everybody's got the picnic table out, the utensils, the tea is being
Oh,
poured.
yeah.
It's a dead end. We need
Yeah.
to be quick and tic tac our way there with a lot more speed and conviction
Oh,
and
yeah.
willingness to lose the ball. And we're not willing to lose a ball, I guess.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what's the point of possession in general in football? Why do you keep hold of the ball and keep moving it? It's not in order to move the ball. It's in order to move the other team. And that's where I think Motta is failing at the moment because he tries from one side, it doesn't work, all the way to the other side. And I don't feel like we're yet exploiting the space that's being left by the movements of the other team. And that's what we should work about. And if they are standing on a halfway line, they're all back, draw back. Juve, draw back, pull them out, stretch the other team a bit and use the open spaces. Yeah, that takes a bit more training and more time and let's say more chemistry and just to add to the discussion. But that's the point of possession. I don't feel like Juve are using the possession right now as they should.
And I
Yeah.
think what I fear as well is this game right now is generating a lot of draws, and if it continues like this, we're going to drop down the table in Serie A slowly. It's going to slowly get away from us, so that we may not even make Champions League next year. And I'm not trying to fearmonger, but there's that risk, and we'll be out of the Champions League this year very quickly. Draws in the end get you nowhere. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I'd
So there
rather
was a
win
question in
one
the
match.
chat there that said when have we had our full attacking squad available this season?
PSV.
Well, Torino, Lille, Udinese, Parma, Inter, Stuttgart, Lazio, Cagliari. The attacking side has been the guys for quite some time. You would have missed Colt Miners before Cagliari. That's a lot of game. Like I said, I don't think it's a chemistry thing. everybody. I really do think it comes from the philosophy. I think it comes from the coach. I think it comes from the belief of not conceding and being in control with the ball possession. It is what it is. Let's see. Champions League, though, is a different beast. And if there are elements to Aston Villa's game which could open up strengths in ours. So let's see. It's all to play for. This is a big one. I'm fired up. There may or may not be a live watch along today for this game. So stay tuned, everybody. Okay. Omer, you had a question, though.
I don't know if you talked about it, but I have not a polarizing question, but a big one.
Polarizing. All right.
Maybe you have discussed it.
Wow.
Where do you stand on the Del Piero FIGC news?
Oh, okay.
I'll give you my answer quickly.
Fire away.
I think it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, we need to get all those Interisti out of the FIGC. But when players take those kinds of roles, it's like there's no way to come out on top. You'll get criticized no matter what you do. And I don't want Del Piero gaining that status. We've seen it happen with Platini and a bunch of other players who took administrative roles, and people forgot what they were as a player, and myself included. So I don't know yet how I feel about it. I don't think I want him in that role. Not him. Anyone else. Anyone else.
Paolo, where are you at with old ADP there at the FIGC?
Well, my son's name's Alessandro, so I just love the guy, both the player and my son. But I was really excited until Omar said that. And the reason I was excited,
sorry,
no, it's okay, because you make the right point. Protect him from that potential inevitable fall, or have something that'll stick to him, which isn't the memories that we cherish. But I'll say this: he's a great ambassador. He's a smart man. He's got some businesses, so he's been a businessman. He's worked with people to manage brands, to manage products, to get in front of cameras, to represent. He's seen business plans, I guess. He's probably got access to a lot of people who would like to work with him. I bet he has access to a lot of people who will come with ideas and visions. He's been working with CBS for a couple of years, so he's seen what a production can look like, can feel like. So I think he could bring some of that sparkle to the role, vision and ideas. That's the positive side.
For me, it's an easy yes. Yes. Number one, as I've stated many times, my neighbor's dog could do a better job than Gravina. So Gravina's got to go. Okay.
Down.
As far as Del Piero goes, I have zero issues. Even if you're going to talk Platini, it never separates. We can throw Nedved into the mix. What these guys achieved as players will never be erased or disappear. Period. What he does from a business standpoint, what happens in FIGC does not change or affect anything that Del Piero does or what he's going to mean to Juventini. If you don't want to see others thrash him or etc., whatever, I never ever pay attention to what any of the Chihuahuas say or do anyways, unless I'm ripping them to shreds here on this channel. Okay, so I really don't care what they would say or think, but I actually do think because Gravina is so friggin' bad, Del Piero would not fail. Del Piero would go in there. This guy would actually thrive. When you hear him speak about the game in general and what's going on in Italy, if you've been following him as an analyst for a couple years now, 2.5 to 3 years, he knows what needs to happen. Totti knows what needs to happen. Maldini knows what needs to happen. I think Del Piero And even if it wasn't Del Piero, but someone like Del Piero opens the door to getting the right people in behind the FIGC for the right reasons. Del Piero would be a symbol of somebody that is doing it for the love of the game and for Italian football. Because the people that we've had in there now have had their pockets and their soul pockets at the top of the list of priorities. And that's why Italy's game and league has been run to shit. So for me, it's the easiest. Yes. And that's before I even get into the fact of stopping the goddamn witch hunts, everybody, all right? Get him up there. He could wear black and white every single day and put a damn flag in his office, all right? And wave the colors for Juve. No, I'm all for it. 100% all for it.
We are the best and most successful club in Italy, regardless of what asshole sits at the top of the FIGC, and we always have been. Del Piero, I mean, yeah, we are old. We remember Del Piero, the player, and that could never be erased away. The young generation lives on his mythology, like I lived on Platini's mythology and Baggio's. And maybe Baggio staying away from all this nonsense kept him at high regard as he's been as a player. I just don't want the young generation to start viewing Del Piero as something that he's not, but he is a brilliant player, and he was a brilliant player, and he's a brilliant person, and I'm sure he'd want to take the league to a whole new level because he knows what it takes and how it should look. The question is, it's administrative issues, and once you get in there, you see that it's not possible because of this guy and that guy and all those stuff. That it's Italy. I mean, we know how things work in Italy, and if Del Piero can change that, he'll be an all-time great all around.
Make Calcio great again. I love it. Listen, I do believe if that happened, it would get more characters involved, like a Francesco Totti, who's been
hopefully
out for, and I believe it's literally the key to getting these guys in there, getting younger bodies in there with fresh ideas, fresh outlooks, and like a different approach. Like I said, the list of knocks against Gravina's run is
endless.
It's insane. There's been no headway in any facet. Like, there has been no headway. Nothing has changed. Nothing has improved. If anything, things have actually gotten worse, especially if you're looking at TV rights. And that's the big ticket nowadays. Okay. So if you at least had the TV rights, you got a leg to stand on. This guy's got nothing. And what's interesting about Del Piero is the rumors are that Lotito is the one that actually put the name forward, which is interesting. But will he get the votes? This is where I say the guys that have all their kind of agendas in line, that's where I don't know if he'll win, because at the end of the day, it's all about their pockets and whatever's going to, be better for them, not necessarily better for Italian football, is what's going to come to the forefront.
Okay, so a different question. If you get that position now, what's the first thing you do?
If you get that position?
If you get it, yeah.
You fire a bunch of people.
Well, where
probably.
do you start? You're trying to tackle Mount Everest. Where do you start?
Yeah, so what's your first move?
First move is try to figure out how to get more teams proper academies, like at least out of the big clubs. Mm-hmm. Not big, but like top 8 to 10. Mm-hmm. Try to get more of that going on for those players. Mostly should be helping younger Italian players get significant minutes there to try and get integration. TV, 100%, you got to work on your whole production. The production of Serie A in general has to be one of the top priorities and has to be changed completely. we spoke at great length, Paulo and I, one time about the many stories that are beautiful around the league that they can't deliver with any kind of proper importance or just anything. Like they can't tell any stories. There's drama all over Italy. They don't sell it as production value or anything. They just want, like, it's like they're stuck in the old day with the newspapers and these stupid outlets. And it's like, oh, this is where the drama. It's like, no, that would be great for TV production. Like the fact that Genoa got Balotelli, well, now Vieira's their coach and they can't stand each other or whatever. Boom, sell it. Huge, insane. What's going to happen at Genoa now? Oh my God, are people going to watch Genoa all of a sudden? Yeah, they might. Sell your league, sell the story, sell the drama, sell the beauty. What's going on in Como? The fact that Thierry Henry's involved there, as well as Fabregas. You've got Drake involved with Venezia. Drake's got how many followers? You can't sell it. Nobody even knows that Drake's involved. Production's got to be up there too.
And they got to figure out the stadiums as well. There's a lot of poor venues.
Yeah. Well, first thing I do is, well, as the minute I sit in that chair, I cancel the Super Cup nonsense, going abroad, playing. So that's not what generates money for the league, although they say it does. I fire the marketing manager ASAP. All this racism ads, battling racism in the worst way possible. And after that, I start getting into the youngsters and how do you maintain Italy producing youngsters like they did in the past, because right now it doesn't work. Yeah. And after that, there's tons of stuff to change. But the first thing, I'm canceling the Super Cup and moving it back to August.
Do it at the beginning of the season. Yeah. But seriously, they got to figure out their shit. That's a mountain to climb. That's a mountain.
Oh, and tactics. I mean, Italy is all about tactics. You read the newspaper on match day. What do you have on the front page? You have the formations. Like, I don't see that as a newspaper. Italy is psyched about tactics, and you get none. You get like this apex height and all those nonsense that have no idea what it means. And then you look at La Liga and you see the way they produce and the stats they give you during the match. It's insane. It's actually a joy to watch. I would, hands down, pull that in and get a team together to start working on that.
Yeah. Back to that whole thing with Del Piero. Why is Totti necessarily a positive, Del's ass? I'll tell you why. Men that are not influenced by money. That's why. It's as simple as that. And it's the same reason I said guy like Del Piero, for the right reasons. And that's why it's a positive. Men that throughout their career have never been influenced by money. And they make decisions kind of from here. That's huge when you're trying to make a turnaround on something like this. Because if he actually accepted, means he gives a shit. And I think he would. Him and Del Piero are very close, but Del Piero would be it for the right reason. That's why. My answer's as simple as that. But yeah, Del Chiliopa. My God, still sticking with the De Chilio love there. Watch along today? Maybe. Stay tuned. But you guys, great show, great questions to finish off and tackled everything. The rumor mill. I always tell you guys, buckle those seatbelts. I don't think anybody has any idea what the hell Giuntoli is going to do. Okay? I'll tell you that. And Skippy.
And we have no money.
I think Skippy got it right, though. The first thing is a big kick in the ass for Gravina. And then points deduction for Inter. With their yes, relegate. That should be first priority. See you later. Yeah. First thing in office. Inter. Vaffanculo. There you go.
Now we're not like them. We don't need them relegated to be better than them.
No, we don't. But I'm gonna do it anyways. Now
I'll be happy.
You guys, great show. A lot of fun. Paolo, Omer, all giving our thoughts on where we're at with this team. At the end of the day, what we think doesn't really matter. It's up to the team to show us. Like I said, Motta, He's going to have to nail this thing from the get-go, from the start. And we're going to have to be turned on from the first whistle to the last. Let's see what Juve brings us today. And like I said, stay tuned for the watch along. There is a possibility. All right, you guys, one way or another, enjoy the match. I'm excited for it. I'll give you a rundown on the predictions. Omer's going 1-0 Juve. Paolo's got 1-1 draw. I got a 1-1 draw myself. And hopefully Omer's right. And we get the 3 points because that changes things for Juve's outlook in Champions League dramatically. Need a big one today. Let's see what they bring us. No matter what happens with the watch along, etc., post-match podcast tomorrow morning, same time, all right? Let's go. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Let's try and give Aston Villa one of these today. Let's go, boys. Come on.